Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me for the first time today. My name is Lucy, and today I have filmed a very highly requested video. If you do want to see how I personally create a nice sharp winged liner and also turn it into a nice sharp graphic liner too, then please do keep on watching. So I just want to start off by saying I know that this coloured background might look a little bit weird. Basically, I bought myself a background stand and I'm really eager to get some nice coloured backgrounds for my YouTube videos. I don't yet have any, so I actually pulled an old blanket out of the cupboard and I'm basically test running what it would look like with a coloured background. So that's what that is. If it looks weird, I apologise, but let me know what you think of like the coloured backgrounds in the comments below, because I do want to get loads of colours of proper backgrounds. Also, thank you so much to everyone who has shown some love and support on this series so far. It's really nice to see all of your comments saying that I've really inspired your techniques and helped you to up your makeup game. That really means the world to me, because that's exactly what I wanted to do this series for. The next video that I've had so many requests for is winged eyeliner and graphic eyeliner. So that is what I'm going to be doing for you today. Now I'm going to throw this one out here big, bold and clear before I start the video. Eyeliner is a very personal preference. Every single person on this planet has different eye shapes. The way that I'm going to be doing my eyeliner and showing you how I do it is my own personal preference and is what works for my eyes and my eye shape. If you want to give it a try, please feel free to, but please don't be disheartened if this shape doesn't work for you or doesn't look good on your eyes. Unfortunately, it's really difficult for me to show you a tutorial on an eye shape that I don't have. So for that reason, I'm purely just going to show you how I create my winged eyeliner and my graphic eyeliner, and if you want to follow along, please feel free. So I've just gone ahead and shaped my brows with my soap. I've also just carved underneath them and then very lightly primed my lids with some concealer. I do recommend that you prime your lids before doing eyeliner, purely so that the liner has something to stick to. If you're working on top of your eyelids without any product, the eyeliner might just slide all over the shop and it might not give you a very crisp line. It also might bleed into your skin. That sounds a lot more morbid than it's supposed to mean. What basically it means is that sometimes, especially if you're using liquid eyeliner, the product can sort of bleed and go up through, I don't really know how to explain it. The liquid of the eyeliner can sometimes leak into the texture of your skin. Not inside your skin, but it can just sort of leak out. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm really sorry. Anyways, what I'm saying is I do recommend priming your lids before eyeliner. That's what I've done anyway. As I'm not doing any eyeshadow today, I've also very lightly just set them down into place with some translucent powder. This is just so that we don't get any creasing through our eyelids. Without further ado, let's get started. So my idea is that I'm going to show you one eye with a liquid eyeliner and one eye with gel eyeliner. I like to use both depending on the look I'm doing and how much of a rush I'm in. So for my gel eyeliner side, I'm going to be going in with my trusty Inglot number 77 gel eyeliner. I have tried many black eyeliner gel formulas in my time, and this is definitely one of the best I have ever tried. It's a really creamy formula when you work into it, so it means that it's not pulling or tugging along your eyelid, which is really nice, but it does also dry down matte, which is exactly what we want with a gel eyeliner, because you don't want it to be sticky or transferring throughout the day. I do also really like the Anastasia Beverly Hills gel eyeliner in the shade Jet, and I also like the Morphe one, which I think is also called Jet. Could have that wrong, but I feel like it is. But I do always seem to revert back to my Inglot, so this is the one I'm going to be using on this eye today. And for my liquid liner side, I've actually got a few different liquid liners that I have been absolutely loving recently, and I do sort of tend to go back and forth between these ones. These are the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner. I'm sure everyone has heard about this liner before. It's really nice, and it's got a super fine tip. I also have been absolutely loving the Too Faced Better Than Sex eyeliner, especially for detail work. But the one that I'm actually going to be using today is the NYX Professional Makeup Epic Ink liner in the shade Black. This one is also waterproof and supposedly transfer proof. That's the one I'm going to be using, but I do also really like those two as well. The brush that I'm going to be using for the gel liner side today is the Anastasia Beverly Hills number 12 eyeliner slash eyebrow brush. It's just a really nice fine angled angled liner brush with a spoolie on the end in case you want to use it for your brows. I absolutely love to use this for liner. So when using gel liner, one of the most important things is to make sure you properly activate the gel so that it's not going to be dry and tugging across your eye. I like to take the product from the side, never ever from the top. That's one of the main tips I can give you with any gel formula. Don't take it from the top, take it from the sides. The reason for this is once you've scraped off that whole top layer of product, you're going to find that the gel is going to dry out very, very, very quickly. Whereas if you're taking it from the edges, it's going to last you a lot longer without drying out. So I'm just going to go ahead and start taking some with my brush from the side of that gel. And then what I'm going to do straight away is just put that on the back of my hand and start to just warm it up. So what I mean by this is just basically brushing over it as though you would with a paintbrush and some paint. I'm just going either side of my brush, making sure to really coat it on both sides. The reason for this is obviously so that we can get the brush as thin as we possibly can. This is such an important thing when it comes to liner. When you're done with the product, always make sure you put the lid back on and make sure it is tight enough so that you're not going to get any air in there to dry out the product. So this is what my brush is looking like now. It is super, super fine. It's coated on both sides of the brush and it's very, very ready to go. So I'm going to start by working this onto my eye. The way I like to work with the gel is always starting by the middle of my eye. So what I'm going to do is take the angled side of the brush, I'm going to lay it flat against my eye, right above where my pupil is, and just stamp it into place. Now you don't want to start by swiping it, you just want to start by sort of stamping the product across your lash line and into the place you're going to put it. As you can see, once we've got that line down in the center, then you can just start working either side of that line into the inner corner and then out to the side. So I'm just going to go into the inner corner first, just stamping it very, very lightly. As you can also tell, I am looking downwards into my mirror. The reason I'm doing that is just so I can make the most out of the space of my eyelid. Like I said this in my previous few videos as well. It's always easier if you can look downwards into the mirror rather than straight on, because when you're looking straight ahead, you are closing off a lot of your eyelid. So I like to look down to maximize the space I've got. I'm also just resting my pinky finger on my face. I'm not sure if you can tell that or if it's in frame, but I always like to rest my pinky finger, and my elbow is also on the table as well. This is just so I can get a lot more control over where I'm placing the liner, because if you're doing it with a complete free hand like this, you're going to find you're going to get wobbly lines everywhere. So if you can, I recommend resting your elbow on the table and also having your pinky finger on your face for some guidance. So when it comes to the wing, what I'm going to do is I've just loaded up that brush again so it's nice and flat, and I'm going to always start by the bottom of my eye and wing it out first before dragging that wing back across. The shape that you want your wing to go is of course massive personal preference. I personally like it when it follows on from the bottom of my natural lash line. So as you can see, I'm just going to follow on the shape from where my lash line is and just extend it out to my eye, starting from the very outer corner. And I'm just going to do tiny little lines. The smaller the line, the better really, because if you go in with one really thick long line, it's much harder to clean up afterwards. Now I've got the shape and the length of the wing sort of measured out. What I'm going to do is go from this part I left on my eyelid, and I'm just going to start by doing small little lines all the way up to the wing. At this point, I'm twisting my brush from this angle to this angle, so I'm just twisting the brush back, and I'm going to start by doing little strokes in the opposite direction. So instead of going out towards the wing, I'm going from the wing back towards the inner corner of my eye, if that makes sense, but I'm doing it in really small little strokes just until it joins up with the rest of the wing. So that is my wing shape when I'm looking straight up. As I look down, you can see this is what the shape looks like. It doesn't always look perfect. Sometimes what you've got to do is adjust the shape of the wing so that when you're looking straight ahead, it looks nice and fleeky, and when you're looking down, it might look a little bit different. So moving on over to the liquid liner side. This side is generally a lot quicker for me to do, so I don't really know if there's going to be much to talk you through, but I'm just going to sort of show you what I'm doing and talk you through as I go. So this is obviously the liner that I I chose, which is the Epic Ink liner by NYX. So I do things a little tiny bit differently when it comes to liquid liner. I actually like to start from the inner corner and work my way all the way out. So what I'm going to do is just start with the shape of the brush. I'm not going straight on with my brush like a felt tip. I'm using that shape of the brush on my inner corner and just going to do very, very thin lines, keeping it as close to my lash line as possible to begin with. You can always thicken it up, but as we all know, if you go too thick, it's really hard to come back from. So I recommend keeping it as thin as possible to start with. Get your shape down and then you can thicken it up if you want to. So I've just drawn that line all the way across my top lash line. Now what I'm going to do is the same as I did on the other eye. I'm going to go in with my wing shape, so following the natural shape of my bottom lash line. So I did mess up slightly on the shape of that winged out shape just there. If I'm being honest, I do find that the gel is much easier to control when it comes to the actual winged part of the eye. If you're just doing a line across your lid, then I find liquid is easier, but when it comes to actually controlling it, gel is definitely easier to use to get a really sharp wing. So the exact same way that I did it on the gel side, I'm just going to start by going from my lid shape and working out towards that wing, and I'm just doing little strokes at a time until I join up with that shape, and then I'm just going to fill in that empty gap. Now what I'm going to do is twist the pen from this side to this side, and now I'm going to work back from the wing across my eye just to make sure that it's a really nice straight flat line. Okay, so that is our classic winged liner shape all done. Just going to give you a quick little look at both sides. So this was obviously our gel side and this is the liquid liner side. Personally, I prefer the look of the gel side, but I prefer working with liquid because it is easier. Now, if you like to keep things classic, then you can absolutely stop here. But I know that a lot of people have been requesting how to do graphic liner. Again, this is completely personal to your eye shape. I'm going to show you how I would change this from a winged liner into a graphic liner look. The way that I do it might not work on your eye shape, but you're welcome to give it a go and see if it does. If it doesn't, then that's fine. You can just play around with different techniques and find the way that does work for you. So going back in now with the gel liner side to do our graphic line, I have still got the product on the back of my hand from when we did the wing. Now I don't want to waste this product and go and dig out some more to use. What I'm going to do instead is actually take the Inglot Duraline makeup mixing liquid. This is such an incredible product to revive your dead gel formulas. If you've got a dip brow that's dried out, or if you've got a gel liner or anything of the sorts that has dried out, this will bring it back to life. All you need is the absolutely tiniest droplet, and this is just going to bring the moisture back to that gel so you can keep reusing this same product rather than having to bring any more out of the pot. And as you can see, there's so much more life left in that product. So I've just coated that brush again as I did before on both sides. You have to make sure this is as thin as it possibly can go before you do the graphic line. What I'm going to do when I start off my graphic line is I always like to use the very pointed part of this brush, and this is going to guide us from the top of the graphic line down to the bottom. So I'm going to start sort of around my brow bone. Depends how far in you want to go. If you want it to be full on graphic, you could start from the inner part of your eye. I'm going to do a half graphic wing that goes from around my brow bone and down into the wing. So there is my basis line for my graphic liner. Now what I'm going to do is just coat that brush up again, and then we're going to go in with a second line that comes from the top of this one, and it goes slightly thicker and then joins up towards the bottom of the wing again. So there is of course my second line, and now all you've got to do is fill in the gaps. So there is my graphic liner shape using the gel eyeliner. It's completely up to you now whether you'd want to go in and thicken up the lines. I'm sure this was already obvious, but I've made it so that it's not into the crease of my eye, just so you can still see it even when I'm looking forwards. You can bring it slightly further in or slightly further out depending on what you want to do, and also depending on your eye shape. I'm quite happy with the shape of that one, and I know that if I'm going to add anything to it, it's just going to get thicker and thicker and thicker. So I'm going to leave it there and move on to the other eye. Now, Now, taking my liquid liner again, this is slightly more difficult for me. I actually prefer to do my graphic liner with gel because I have so much more control over it. I do find that sometimes with liquid liner, my hand gets really shaky, and if you move the slightest bit, it's just going to throw your whole line off. So I am just going to do this as carefully as possible. I do it in the exact same way that I did it over here. So I'm going to do one thin line first, then a second one, and then fill in the gaps. Matching them up is the hard part, so take your time with that. I'm just going to go straight in and hopefully it will match. So here is my two graphic lines. Now I'm not going to say they are siblings, they're probably not even cousins, they're maybe distant relatives, but they look somewhat similar, if you agree. This side was definitely a lot harder to control using the liquid. I definitely do prefer using the gel, especially for the graphic line. I've also just gone underneath with some concealer just to really clean up the lines underneath the wing, and I am going to leave that one there because I don't want to go ahead and ruin this anymore. And here is my finished winged liner, graphic liner look with my lashes applied. For anyone wondering, these are the Lashylicious lashes in the shade Glammylicious. Style, not shade. I say that every time when referencing lashes. So you guys, that is my finished video of how to create a nice winged liner and also turn it into a graphic liner as well. I'm well aware I've said this about 90 times throughout this video already, but please don't be discouraged if this technique doesn't work for you. Unfortunately, there is just some techniques in makeup that don't work for everybody. I know this video feels probably a little bit useless. I don't really know the best ways to explain how to do eyeliner when I'm just doing it personally on my own eyes. I really need to stop picking my lips. They're getting so dry and they keep bleeding. If you did enjoy watching this video or you thought it was helpful in any way, then please do make sure to leave a big thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not already. You can also find me over on my Instagram and my TikTok, which are both LSGMAKEUP, and my Twitter, if you wanted to come and engage with me there, is LSGMAKEUP_. Don't forget also to let me know down in the comments what other videos you want to see in this series. I do have quite a few lined up in my notes already, but if you have any further suggestions, just leave them below and I'm sure I can throw some of the most popular ones in the mix. But for now, I'm going to leave this video here, so thank you so much again for watching as always, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye!